are not live. Welcome to this episode of the Bodyslam Podcast right here at Gerwick.net. I'm Atlee Greene.
I'm Todd Graham.
I'm Shane Daly, Ryan Andrews, Leo Diamond.
/ Right across your face.
The man with many names, many faces, many masks. Welcome to the show once again.
Masks? Sin Cara!
It's a sin. But yes, this is our topical episode of the Bodyslam Podcast where we're going to ignore
Our not
the
so
latest.
topical.
Our not so topical Bodyslam Podcast. We're going to ignore all the latest news, rumors, and reports from the world of professional wrestling and talk about different topics in the world of professional wrestling that we have talked about over the years. Pressing issues that have never gone away, topics that we all like to share and fantasize about. This is probably going to be a show that you're really going to like, and I'm excited to bring this concept to the Bodyslam Podcast and Gerwick.net.
And
yes,
it's also going to be shorter than usual, so that's also good.
that's right. We have a time limit, and we're going to hit it, folks. We're going to hit our times. But Todd, you had a topic you want to talk about first. Lead off, my friend. Lead off.
All right, I wanted to talk about, I think all of us are going to have some kind of topic tonight, but I wanted to talk about the difference between Daniel Bryan and Zack Ryder. Now, I'll wait for you all to stop laughing.
Laugh track.
Yes.
One of them has a beard.
One of them has a beard, and one of them is a beard. Sorry. And it all has to stem from the big outrage, the outcry from the hardcore audience, a.k.a. the internet, which, of course, we're all a part of, or else why the hell would we be doing a podcast?
What's the internet?
Is there a Twitter in this? So I wanted to kind of extrapolate on that a little bit. Now
Hashtag extrapolate.
Hashtag extrapolate. I really didn't think too much about it because I think it's better if it comes right off the cuff when you're thinking about it. You know, kind of like the best promos aren't written down. So, but a lot of people were very, very upset about what happened at the Royal Rumble 2 weeks ago now. Keeping in mind we probably recorded this at the same time as the last one. We have somebody in the room who doesn't even watch wrestling on TV, and he heard about what happened at the Royal Rumble.
I heard it was the worst Royal Rumble
Right.
ever.
The night of the
Stevie, get on the mic. Tell the ladies and gentlemen, PZW Wrestling heavyweight champion. Heavy champion.
Heavy champion.
PZW heavyweight champion
That's the
Stevie
last
James
step
is
to my
in the
last
studio,
match, so
folks.
I guess that
And
kinda fits in.
PCW Wrestling will be soon coming to
Gerwick.net.
Gerwick.net.
That's
You'll
right.
see all the action PCW has to offer, and right now we have the PCW heavyweight champion, Stevie James, in the room. So, Stevie, tell us what you just told Ryan.
Oh, hello everybody. How you doing? I just told Ryan that I heard over the news that this Royal Rumble that just passed, it was the hands down #1 worst Royal Rumble ever! In exclamation marks.
And here's the thing, just not to go off topic, but I agree with you, Stevie, 100%, because thinking of the past Royal Rumbles, I thought to myself, this Royal Rumble was bad. There has to be worse Royal Rumbles than this one. And thinking about each and every single one, I cannot think of a worse Royal Rumble. And it's not even because Daniel Bryan necessarily didn't win the Rumble or wasn't in the Rumble. I just think everything they did was executed in a piss-poor manner.
This, I believe, was Jamie Noble's first year booking the Royal Rumble.
He's no Pat Patterson. Snuck it in early tonight. All right.
Hold the phone. Jamie Noble booked the Royal Rumble?
Yeah.
Are you weird?
That's what they said.
Yep.
Who?
That's the word on the
It was.
I didn't
must
read-
have been on Gerwick.net.
I didn't read this on Gerwick.net.
I would say-
I
Are you-
apologize,
are you-
Steve, if
are
I
you-
didn't happen to read it at
Are you
Gerwick.net.
ripping me, Jamie Noble?
No,
That's what
Jamie
they said,
Noble
yeah.
booked the Royal Rumble.
That's why Kofi had a spot and no one else did. I
Why
don't know.
would a guy that has never drawn a dime book
He's drawn dimes.
one of the
I've seen
biggest?
his pictures. He drew
Oh
dimes.
God! Why would a guy? All due respect to Jamie Noble, I'm sure you're a fantastic worker, but why would a guy that's never drawn a dime in his own division, the cruiserweight division,
Never mind wrestling.
book
His own division.
His own division. Why would he be in charge of booking one of the most important matches in the calendar year for professional wrestling? Explain this to me.
I hate to be that guy, but we're getting off of the topic that we
Shut
came
up,
here to
Ryan.
discuss,
Yeah, you
and
are that
guys
guy.
you guys are talking this time limit for this podcast.
20 minutes going.
He makes a good point. Now let's get back to what I was
Back
saying.
to the beer.
Damn it!
we had the outsider opinion from Stevie James, and at the same time, I have to remind all of you, he doesn't watch wrestling on television. And still, he somehow heard that it was the worst Royal Rumble ever. The Grammys happened the same night, and there was a lot of crappy things that happened at the Grammys that were definitely buzzworthy on social media. And what was the worldwide trending social media hashtags? Daniel Bryan, Royal Rumble, sucks. Those were the 3 big ones that were trending worldwide. And why? Because the internet audience, the social media audience, spoke up against it. Now, let's rewind a couple years ago. We talked about the Summer of Punk on our last podcast.
Good catch.
Huh?
Good catch.
Yes. After the Summer of Punk, the Ryder Revolution truly began. For those of you who don't remember it, because it didn't last that long, Zack Ryder, a D-list wrestler,
Former Edgehead,
former Major Brother, he used to be a load-bearing beam on Superstars. He came up with this YouTube show and made himself a name on pissing and moaning and being funny and entertaining at the same time, which, of course, is a great thing. It almost won Santino Marella the World Championship, see Elimination Chamber several years ago. I believed for one moment that he might win the chamber.
I believed he was going to win the Royal Rumble.
That
but
too.
That's a whole other story.
Completely off topic. But once again, this is the one thing I'll disagree with Jim Cornette about. Funny can draw money. But Ryder made it a point every week to release a YouTube video where his own show where he was basically saying, I can draw money, and he would draw money. I can get over, and he'd be climbing over a fence. He was very entertaining.
WWE dropped the ball.
Yes, they did. And the thing is...
that was a video.
I know. I was agreeing with you. He was very popular with the internet audience, and the internet audience would flood every arena and give you the "We Want Ryder" chants.
Clap, 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 clap.
And they would continue to do it, and especially in Long Island, in New York. Honestly, there were a lot of "We Want Ryder" chants, but it wasn't as crazy as what we've been hearing lately. Ryder was eventually given an opportunity. They made him a United States champion. But then the question became, was the juice worth the squeeze? Because that's not funny.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, Ryder, they put him in the position that they wanted him, that the fans wanted him to be in, and once they did, they turned their back on him and just didn't care. You know, and not only that, but they buddied him up with John Cena and made John Cena steal his girl, and all he did was cry about it instead of going after him.
And he got his butt kicked too.
Yeah, and that's a career kill. That's a gimmick killing thing to happen. But that's the comparison here. Is like are the people in charge of deciding who carries that belt, are they looking at it like, oh, this is another Zack Ryder? Now, obviously, you can tell there's a serious difference because you would hear the "We Want Ryder" chants mostly when they were in New York or New Jersey.
On the East Coast, basically.
On the East Coast, close to where he's from. But Daniel Bryan, all over the world. Like, they made a joke about, oh, look, how many members of Daniel Bryan's family came out when they were in his hometown in Washington. But that doesn't matter because it was night after night after night. It's Daniel Bryan, yes, yes, yes. They even tried to dispel it by saying anybody can do yes. Watch Big Show. Go do yes. And he did do yes. But not as good. And that's the ridiculous part. Yes! It's right up there with what? They could just make a t-shirt that says yes! Nice.
And they can make a t-shirt that says what?
Exactly. And they made a mint on them. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is that if anybody is using the Zack Ryder template for the reason why Daniel Bryan isn't where he should be, which is carrying this company, because anybody and you know what, I'll end my opinion on this. If anybody says Daniel Bryan can't draw money, then why the hell were they giving money back to the people that paid for a house show ticket when he got his concussion the last 2 weeks? They refunded ticket money to the people who came to see Daniel Bryan. They were willing to give money back to those people because they knew how important it was that he be there. Should Daniel Bryan be the World Heavyweight Champion? Yeah, at WrestleMania. Maybe not now, but at WrestleMania.
Do you do it at WrestleMania, or do you wait a month later at Extreme Rules in his hometown?
Wow. I didn't consider that.
Because
Next podcast.
Next podcast.
Next time.
All right. Well, that is some very good insight into the whole Zack Ryder, Daniel Bryan comparison.
I like that word. That's something that this podcast has over a lot of them. Insight. We're actually talking about
insight and hilarity. That's what we bring.
Yes, Leo Diamond.
To Gerwick.net. GERWECK.net.
That's right. PZWrestling.com.
Okay, I'm going to spat off at the mouth for a little bit and talk about poor Rey Mysterio.
Oh, jeez.
Man, it's funny because I actually had a lot of people over my house to watch the Royal Rumble. And when number 30 was doing the countdown, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, I think everybody assumed it was going to be Daniel Bryan. Excuse me. I thought it was going to be Daniel Bryan for a second, but then I remembered, oh, shoot. Ray did a promo earlier in the night that ended with Booyaka. So
it's got to happen.
And he hasn't appeared yet, so he's coming out, and man, there's going to be some disappointed people in my house. There's going to be some disappointed people in the audience, and Ray is going to take the brunt of it. But I think it leads to a bigger situation when it comes to Rey Mysterio. I'm going to call him Rey Mysterio Jr. because I grew up with him being called Rey Mysterio Jr. So I'm going to call him Mofo Rey Mysterio Jr.
I'm going to call him Calibri. Get real old school.
Oh, jeez. So
I'm going to call him Psychosis. It'd be real
goodness. Well, here's the situation. Rey Mysterio was an internet darling before being an internet darling was cool. A lot of people loved Rey Mysterio even before the internet really took shape.
Tape
trading, the dirt sheets, if you will. Everybody loved Rey Mysterio. And then, of course, everybody was saying he would never go to WWE because he's too small. What happened? Vince finally became open-minded for a little bit, signed Rey Mysterio Jr., and his debut on SmackDown, he went over on Chavo Guerrero in 2002. He went over on Chavo Guerrero, and he jumped off the top of the cage and took out 3 of the biggest heels in the company. They made a big deal of him from the start.
Wait a minute. Didn't he land on the posse?
No. It was Test. It was the Un-Americans.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the posse.
No, not the posse. Not the posse. The Un-Americans. Test, Christian, and Lance Storm, I believe.
I miss Pete Gas, Joey Abs, and Rodney.
But in any event, they made Rey Mysterio Jr. a big deal from the beginning. Not a big enough deal where you consider him for the world title, but a very big deal, very marquee attraction. Always had great matches. Everybody liked seeing him. He moved the needle. But then, night after night after night, having great match after great match after great match, people,
same match.
Well, not at that point, but people start asking, hey, when are you going to put the world title on this guy? When are you going to put the world title on that guy? Because one thing as a booker, as a promoter, if you have a particular wrestler on the roster that's constantly giving out 5-star performances, constantly giving you oftentimes the best match of the night, sooner or later, the idea, no matter how close-minded you may be, or no matter how much of an afterthought you may think of this individual, eventually, as a promoter, you start thinking, okay, I have to do something bigger with him. And eventually, the idea was, hey, let's put the world title on him. And, of course, Eddie's unfortunate passing had a lot to do with that. But still, they made the decision, a conscious decision, to put the world title on Rey. Now, everybody was super pumped when Rey became the champion. But once he started defending the belt, it kind of looked as ridiculous as people made it out to be. A lot of old school people always say it'd be ridiculous seeing Rey Mysterio Jr. defend the World Heavyweight title. And of course, once he became the world champion, it did look kind of ridiculous.
I'm just saying the belt weighed more than he did.
It did look ridiculous. I mean, we always thought, no, Rey's a good wrestler. He's the man. He can carry the belt. But he couldn't. And I think the fans turned on him because it was like, yeah, we want him as the top guy. Once they made him the top guy, goes, oh, yeah. His booking was pretty bad, though, I will say. I mean, they had him lose to the great Khali in a non-title match. And Khali was just like fresh out of school, wrestling school, fresh out of
greener
NXT.
Than goose turds, they
yes.
say.
And so that didn't help. His booking was atrocious, but I don't think, even if you beat him as a world beater where you just beat everybody with like the finger poke of doom, I think people would have still turned on it. And also, on top of that, I think during that time between Rey's debut, Rey's World Championship victory, and everything since, I think Rey has slowly turned into an act that's something special to an act that's become very cookie cutter. And when the bulk of your fans are the internet fans, they notice that stuff right away.
Big time.
They notice that stuff. And I know he's older. He's up there in age. His knees have taken a pounding. Many people believe that he should no longer be wrestling. He's lost a lot of love. And it's really for no good reason, because he still puts on entertaining matches. I think Ryan has something to say.
When you said a lot of people don't think he should even be wrestling, Todd pointed at me. I'd like to make a correction on that. I am not against Rey Mysterio wrestling. I'm against Rey Mysterio wrestling at not like, I guess, in the regularity that they have him. He's on every week. It's the same match again and again, just like I said earlier. I honestly think it's time they sign him to one of those deals where it's like the Van Damme deal. You come in, you wrestle for 3 months, we send you home, see you later. And
that may give Rey a little bit of longevity on his career, because even though Rey has done the same moves since he's been in WWE, that's how the WWE formula works. You get 2 or 3 big moves, you do very well, you do them to pop the crowd, and it makes life a lot easier. Everybody, all the greats have done it. The fact of the matter is, when it comes to Rey Mysterio, it looks like a formula. It doesn't seem special anymore. It just looks like he's going through the motions.
Timing was everything for Rey Mysterio. Timing was everything. That time, it's almost a decade ago.
And plus, he's already reached the pinnacle. He's been the world champion. He held the WWE title for an hour and a half until he lost to John Cena. And the fact is, he's done every big thing he could possibly do. He's not going to get any higher storyline-wise. He's still going to move merchandise. Kids love him. They're always going to relate to him. But the thing is, we've seen the best of Rey Mysterio. It's not going to get any better.
I call this the Edge syndrome. Edge was... He was, mid-card, upper mid-card for a long, long time. Fan favorite. People loved him. They put the championship on him. They put the King of the Ring on him. He won the Rumble. He did just about everything. Intercontinental champion 100 times. Tag team champion 100 times. Probably won didn't he win the U.S. title a couple times too?
100
times. Just like all the other ones.
Yes, he went over on, he won the WCW U.S. title. He went over on Angle.
Even better, the real one.
The real one.
But he did all these things, and then it came to a point where, okay, now what? Who cares? Like, once again, cookie cutter. It got to a point where it's just like, you're waiting for the spear, and that's it. You're waiting for the 619, and that's it. That's it. He's already done everything that he's going to do, but you know what? I even feel the same way about CM Punk at this point.
Actually, I felt the same way about the Dudley Boys after they won their 28th WWE Tag Team Championship. I thought to myself, what else can they do? And I'm glad they went to TNA and did their deal and got to wrestle in Japan and added more belts to their legacy and whatnot. But with Rey Mysterio, it looks like a formula. It looks like he's just going through the motions. With Edge, at least, even though you knew what was coming, it didn't look lethargic. It didn't look like he's going through the motions. And mind you, I'll never begrudge a guy for getting a paycheck.
Nope.
I mean, if you can only go at 85%, 75%, or even 50%, and someone is willing to pay you, keep doing it. Rey has earned that luxury, and the difference is the WWE's main audience is kids. They're not going to notice the things that we're talking about. They're not going to notice if somebody going through the motion. They're not going to notice if a wrestler is not as good as they used to be. Us internet fans, we're going to notice it. And the fact of the matter is, we'll talk about this on the podcast, but the internet plays a much bigger role in professional wrestling in 2014 than it did 10 years ago, 2004.
That's right.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that social media is taking over the world. And without the internet, you don't have social media.
Nielsen just incorporated
exactly.
social media.
And a lot of what people on the internet says about wrestling, about anything, plays a big role in what happens, even if it's just, influence. And I just really feel bad because Rey Mysterio the thing is, Rey Mysterio, unlike John Cena, unlike Randy Orton, unlike Batista, Rey Mysterio has a lot of street credit because of what he did back in the day and what he did and what look at his body of work over the years, look at his legacy. He has a lot of street credit, but unfortunately, it's almost up. He's running out of currency real quick.
Yep.
And you're always remembered for how you leave the business, not how you come into the business. And he's in danger of being in the same realm as a Cena, Orton, and Batista, where fans just boo his every move. And the difference is because he's injured every single time and he's small, that's always going to go against him. So who'll be easier to get rid of than a Cena, than an Orton, and a Batista, because the old guard's always going to say, the old guard's not around in professional wrestling anymore. The attitude of the old guard will always remain. He's not big enough. He's too small. He hasn't drawn a dime. He can't work. He does flippy stuff all the time. And that attitude.
He's got too much pizzazz.
Damn,
that's always gonna be that attitude. The old school attitude will be there, even if old school guys aren't. And the fact of the matter is, Rey, it can make himself disposable. I just feel that it's a sad tale of how the mighty have fallen. I mean, in 2004, 2005, even 2006, nobody would even dream that Rey Mysterio would be the very topic of this conversation, and now he is.
And they could have put anybody in that 30 spot. They could have put a heel who needed the heat in that 30. They could have put Wade Barrett in that 30 spot. But they put Ray in that 30 spot. Anybody coming out at number 30 that wasn't Daniel Bryan was going to get booed out of the building.
But here's the other thing I want to bring up to you. Number one, it's true. Anybody that was number 30 once not Daniel Bryan was getting booed. That much is for certain. However, did it hurt even more that it was a guy that was physically the same stature as Daniel Bryan?
I don't think that made a difference.
Okay. Now let me throw this at you. Is there a possibility that it was the right call not to put Daniel Bryan in the Royal Rumble because he wasn't going to win anyway? You knew Batista was winning, and seeing him being thrown up by Batista would have made things worse. Do you think there was somebody on the creative team that said, hey, let's not put him in the Rumble because he's going to lose, and just the visual of him losing is just not good for business, especially heading to WrestleMania? Do you think that's conceivable, that was a possible thought in creative? And if so, was it valid?
What I saw on Raw, between what I watched and what I read on Gerwick.net, GERWECK.net, sorry, I keep doing it. I think they might have actually made the right decision. If they're going to do what is now most likely going to be Daniel Bryan versus Triple H, they may have made the right decision by not putting him in there, because he went and made a tweet about how the Authority is holding him down.
It's true. And plus, you got to think, if he was in the Royal Rumble, he was not going to be thrown out accidentally. He was not going to be thrown out by a mid-carder. It was going to be somebody with a lot of hype on them throwing him out. So that means either Roman Reigns,
instead of being the most loved of the last two,
or Batista.
Or if Sheamus was truly going to be his opponent at Mania.
Also, as much as they booed Batista for winning the Royal Rumble by throwing out Roman Reigns, imagine how much they would have booed him if he was the one to throw out Daniel Bryan to win the Rumble. There would be no amount of pyro or entrance music that could block out the rage of those fans.
There would be no mercy.
There'd be no mercy at all.
And speaking of no mercy, somewhere in the future we're going to cover video games. Go on.
But that's my rant about Rey Mysterio, kind of how the mighty has fallen. Not really his fault. It's just kind of survival, if you will, trying to, extend his career. But at the same time, he really is dangerous. It's dangerously close to falling into that. Oh, you're just a puppet you're just a product of the corporate machine. Thus, we don't like you anymore. So that's what he's close to falling in that. But lastly, here on the Bodyslam Podcast, we're going to talk about something else.
I was about to say, with 5 minutes to go, why don't we speak
What are you
going
to talk about time?
Because I'm watching the time, unlike you guys.
Guess what? We're going to go a little over 5 over the 30-minute mark.
Wow,
so how
Rebel.
about that?
With
Maybe here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna reach into the bag of commonly asked Gerweck questions from our fans, and we're gonna pick out one of these topics that constantly gets sent to us in private messages or comments on the page, and we're gonna discuss it. So let me see. Where's the thing? How do you work this? Is there Twitter in this? All right.
Paper
pulling it.
doesn't have Twitter.
I'm reaching in for a topic. All right. What do we got?
I want that hat back, by the way.
No, it's my hat now. All right. One of our fans has asked us, gentlemen, and they didn't say gentlemen. We just can't say the word that they put on it. What, out of all time...
And before you read the question, I do want to say I would read the individual's name who sent us the question, but I was in a hurry, and I just put all the questions on a piece of paper without writing down names, so I do apologize for whoever read this. But if you recognize the question, please write us. Be happy to give you some props.
The question was, gentlemen, once again, expletive deleted. Out of all the championship belts ever seen in all times, which one was your favorite? If you had to pick one, what was your favorite championship belt? We're going to start with
Ryan Daly.
With Leo
You guys
Diamond.
are going to mock me so bad.
And that's
Testify.
before you say anything.
I like things that look different. So I'm going to start off by saying I'm not talking about that TNA heavyweight championship that Jeff Hardy carried around.
He's going to say the spinner belt. I know it. I know he's going to say it.
I like the WWE Divas title.
Oh, okay.
I like it. It's got a different look to it. It's not the same gold plate, black strap.
No, it took me a while to warm up to that belt, but I do like it now. When you compare it to the women's title, the actual WWE women's title, the women's title looks kind of sad and plain next to it. So
Think Rorschach photos. They all look the same, don't they? Butterflies.
deep. That was deep. No, but I wouldn't.
Am I crazy by seeing this title?
No?
Well, it depends. If you see something other than a butterfly, yes, you're crazy. But you see a butterfly, so we're good. But no, it's a very good pick. And plus, you're a dude, so I don't think many guys would have admitted to liking the Divas title. So props, Leo Diamond, props. Champ, Stevie James. Name besides the illustrious PCW title that you're currently carrying over your shoulder.
No, it's got to be the PCW title.
But besides the PCW belt, name a championship belt that you recall that tickled your fancy.
The death fighting title.
Oh my god. Okay, let me clear. Okay. That's the Backyard Wrestling Volume 2000. No. To clarify the question, name a wrestling belt you've seen on television.
Oh, I'm sorry,
from one
guys.
of the big companies.
So, in all fairness, the death fighting title was defended on TV for at least 30-something
I
weeks
mean,
in a row.
I mean like on USA
Public
Network.
access.
USA Network, Spike TV, something.
All right, I'm going to say, since, I don't watch wrestling, I'm just going to say my closest favorite title would be the world title.
Which world title?
I would say the one that
represented the world. All right, moving on.
That one. The one
You can't see what he's pointing to, folks, but Stevie is pointing to the big gold belt, the WCW world title, now part of the world heavyweight title in WWE, the SmackDown title for a very long time.
Yes.
That's Stevie's pick. That's a very good pick.
It's all gold. It's a
Todd
title.
Graham.
It looks great.
All right, my favorite championship belt of all time is the PCW title. You're fired, by the way. That's www.pcwrestling.com. We're coming to Gerweck.net this February. We're the best wrestling show you've never seen before. So let's change that. Anyway, my real pick for favorite title. Now I know what you're gonna say, so I'm not. I'm
going to mention it, but I'm not going to say that.
Okay, all right. Intercontinental belt.
Yes, the old school belt.
All right. If I had to pick a favorite title, the title I could see now that would make me mark out if I for some reason had it in my hands. Oh, gosh, there's so many to pick from. I'm gonna go ahead and say the early '90s WWE Tag Team Championship belts. I love those belts so much.
And if I'm not mistaken, those are the last belts that they changed. That style of belt lasted longer than any other style WWE used.
Mostly through the Attitude Era, yeah, they had them for almost the whole time.
And even Kendrick and London held those belts too.
Did they?
Yeah, They made them more blue, but the shape of the design was still the same. It was just blue.
Yeah, right. They basically used the same design for the SmackDown.
Exactly.
Titles. Yeah, I love those titles.
Very good pick. Very good pick. I mean, you heard Todd and I talking. The old school Intercontinental Championship, the one that Big E wears right now, but with the black strap. That's my favorite look. That's my favorite championship belt. Someday I'm gonna buy a deluxe version of that belt and hang it on my wall because that belt just is cool as hell. Like as a kid growing up, most of my friends grew up saying, I want to be the world champion. I grew up wanting to be the Intercontinental Champion simply because the belt looked so freaking cool.
Can we just recap something real quick?
Yes.
Death fighting title, you idiot. That's it. You're not even here.
But I think that's kind of the easy pick simply because most people would agree. But that's most people's favorite belt, the old school Intercontinental Championship. But my favorite championship belt besides that one is the old school NWA television championship belt. It had a red strap and a nice design for the center plate, and it truly represented what it meant to be a television champion because you couldn't pull this off today with copyright rules, but most championship belts, when they have the side plates, it either has the company logo, it has a figure of two people wrestling, or it has the flag of different countries like America, Japan, England. On the TV, the NWA television title, the one that Tully Blanchard made famous, had the red strap, nice centerpiece, but the side pieces were television station logos. The CBS logo, the ABC logo.
Sweet. That is nice.
The MTV logo, like
MTV.
No, not really, but CBS, ABC, NBC,
NPR.
TBS, like it was all the broadcast stations' logos. So that way, it was like, wow, this is truly a television championship. It makes you the best wrestler on TV, and it represents. You just look at the belt, it's like, wow, like this means something because you're always on TV all the time. And I just thought how the belt looked, the matches that were contested for the television title, and everything in between just made that belt something awesome. And I know Vince McMahon is, never been a fan of the concept of a TV title.
He doesn't like TV.
He doesn't like TV.
Stubborn.
But I would hope with the world title being unified and the inevitable IC and US being unified, I would hope that a third title would be worked in there. And if there's a third title ever, please make it a TV title, please.
Network champion.
All masked titles. Sin Cara!
I'm just saying, if you guys had
honestly,
mocked me,
there'll be a European title, internet title, or a hardcore title before you ever see a TV title on WWE television. But that's my favorite championship.
Atlee, it's funny that you brought up the European title because if you guys had mocked me, that would have been my pick if you had mocked me for the Divas
So we could
title.
have peer pressured him into putting
Fact.
the European title on this.
Yes, you could have.
The European title is actually kind of a sad case because the belt's an awesome looking belt, and it was a great concept because for years WCW always had multiple championship belts, and WWE always just had the WWF world title, the Intercontinental title. Finally, make a third title because they're breaking into the European market, and they really want to diversify their portfolio to a certain extent as far as entertainment goes. The finals of that tournament, the crown of European champion, was amazing. Owen Hart, British Bulldog, one of my top 10 favorite matches of all time. And then you really have nothing else as far as the European title. Nothing else really mattered after that.
X-Pac versus Gangrel.
D-Lo.
Yeah, but still, it's not like when you think about the classic moments of the world title, classic IC title moments, classic tag title moments, and then classic European title moments.
D-Lo.
Shane McMahon.
Al Snow.
The Eurocontinental champion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle was also a Eurocontinental champion.
The Urethra Continental Champion.
Can we
Kurt
say that
Mangle.
word?
Yes.
I mean, you have one of the greatest matches, in the history of Monday Night Raw to determine the champion. Then you had on one night only in '97 one of the most controversial matches, literally, with Shawn Michaels' British Bulldog. So it did always seem like it was a belt that WWE didn't take that seriously.
And then D-Lo.
And then Midian.
And Midian. Naked
Midian. But yes, I don't think that championship ever got its just due.
No.
And if they brought it back, I would hope they would do something different with it.
I would hope Jeff Jarrett wins both belts and
Oh,
gives one to
no.
Mark Henry again.
B-Lo down.
Jeff Jarrett would be lucky to have a job.
I love that guy.
But guys,
Wait a minute. Wasn't he
Hey,
going to do
Jeff-
that thing with the NASCAR people?
Jeff Jarrett, hire me.
Yes.
Shane Daly, Ryan Andrews, you can pay me
Leo-
cheap.
Leo Diamond.
Just pay me more than $14.05 an hour.
Wait a minute. You want to work with Jeff Jarrett?
I'll work for Jeff Jarrett.
For that NASCAR promotion he's doing?
Absolutely.
You'd be a terrible backseat driver.
Please go there.
But,
You know who would be a great backseat driver?
Who?
Pat Patterson. Moving on.
For folks that may be listening and wondering what the heck we're talking about, I promote independent wrestling shows here in Massachusetts, and Ryan also helps me with promoting independent wrestling shows, and he books a lot of the show as well. So he's a very accomplished booker in his own right, and he has expressed a desire to work for Jeff Jarrett. So if Jeff Jarrett, Jerry Jarrett, Toby Keith, or anybody else listen to this,
Baldwin.
Hire me.
Ryan Andrews wants a job as a booker. He wants to book. I mean, he knows nothing about Southern wrestling, Southern lifestyle.
Or books.
He probably couldn't point the South.
I listen to country music.
He probably couldn't point out the South territory of the country on the map, but
Florida
still.
Georgia line does not count as country music.
Oh.
I've never been to the Florida Georgia line.
Speaking of cruising, no, I can't go there. I'm sorry.
But Jeff, you listen to this.
One
Ryan
Pat
Andrews wants
Patterson
a
joke
job,
per podcast.
and he's very capable at putting together a very good story, and there'll be no flippy S. So,
Thank you.
so
No, the S will be rightly proportioned on the right side.
you can tell a story. He knows how to put a match together. He can tell you the difference between a good match and a bad match. Please hire him. But
Oh, God, could he tell you a story? He's telling us he's a booker.
this is true. But in any event, that's all we got for this episode of the Bodyslam Podcast. If you want to keep up with everything I'm doing, please check out my personal blog, midnightlogic.wordpress.com, comic books, MMA, pro wrestling, movies, and everything else in between. So for this episode of the podcast, I'm Atlee Greene.
Darren Young.
You broke the time limit. This is Shane Daly. Check me out this Friday night, February 7th, 152 Winslow Ave, Norwood, Mass. Norwood Lodge of Elks, NCW, WrestleFest 9.
Exactly. PZWrestling.com. Right here at Gerwick. Good night.
Folks, thank you for tuning in. Keep it locked on to Gerwick.net for all your pro wrestling needs. We'll see you next time on the Bodyslam.